up, Big Steve?
Shout out Michael Bisman. UFC pay-per-view, great card for my viewing pleasure and what feels like a betting pleasure. I'm Big Steve. We're going to try bet it, and we're going to try and make some money, right? I have a couple of bets already on some regionals. We'll quickly go through them, and then I'll get into this card, right? I started a little bit early, and that's because of you, John. John Wendesbruck. Steve, if you see this, start the stream early. No worries, mate. You're welcome. You can pay me back in the future somehow. Glimbot, what's up? Nam, let's get some cash. Let's get some cash indeed. It's why we're here, right? It's why we're here. So far, I have one bet on one FC or one Friday nights. It's this Sado Karimbayev, right? I call him Uzbeki Carrot Top. He's like 20 years of age. He went up to plus 150. He's fighting this Korean guy that's not bad. He's like a striker. He fought at welterweight. Now he's dropping down to bantamweight. He could knock him out, but I don't know. This kid, this Uzbeki, has really good heel hooks, and he seems to have some aura about him. He has like 2,000 followers. I feel like he's the A side, even though the Asian is fighting, in Asia. So I have half a unit there at $2.50, and then on ACA, I didn't really get much time to tape this card. I'm fading Odilov, right, with Leonardo Silva, $3.50. Yeah, basically, Odilov's been fighting like a bunch of cans in his title run, and then the first good guy that he fought, he broke him. He submitted him in the fourth. That's the same guy Leonardo Silva fought twice. He knocked him out in the second round once, and in the rematch, he lost a split decision, but honestly, I thought he won that. So Leonardo Silva's fought the better guys. Even when he's lost, he's been competitive. And I think he has the KO upside here against Odilov. Odilov can kill him too. Odilov can also get easy takedowns, but Silva has get-ups. So it's why he's a $3.50 underdog. But yeah, I just took a poke. Not even half a unit, but to win your unit, $600. I think it's like 200 and something. So those two bets, they're off on Bet Online. But, if you're in Europe or somewhere, if you have some crypto books, I know Europeans don't always rely on Bet Online. You might be able to play them if you want to tail. If not, it is what it is. I just thought I'd share that. So in terms of August has been really shithouse, right? So we finished, on 9,000 for the end of July. And then the first two bets of August, almost $2,000 on one FC. One Friday nights, there was one big underdog bet. And then one FC, it was a favorite bet, and he looked minus 1,000. So I was like, man, we're killing it. And then after that, PFL, UFC, everything was just a bit of forced bad betting. UFC Tyra Park, I was up $800 and I lost it all on Rebecca. Octagon was just a $75 poke. And then UFC, I had one great bet on the Medic under, and then I just poked so many bad bets and then chased with the co-main and main to get 1,000 down. So that was really bad betting. A little bit of tilt involved. So no matter what you say, you try avoid it, but it just comes around in August. I don't know what it is about August. And, Dana Contender Series, I actually didn't force anything there, but still lost half a unit. I thought I had some okay bets. Just a bit of volatile card. But, yeah, if you stick to the end, I'll give you a boxing bet that I have locked as well. It's on Sunday, same day as UFC, and it's plus money currently everywhere. So the bets that are currently locked in on ACA and 1FC, they kind of feel like, losing pokes, if I'm honest. But why not? I thought I'd give him a whirl. All right, let's get into this pay-per-view. Right, I spent some time on this pay-per-view. Generally, much better reads, much more plays on pay-per-views. So I was like, this is the turnaround spot for August. So we're going to put some effort in. I do have a couple of bets, and we'll go over them. JP Prill, 3 a.m. here, can't miss. Shout out JP Prill. I will advocate for at least 7 hours of sleep, so make sure you sleep in. Aussie Fight Fan, shout out Big Steve, great pay-per-view. That's it, my friend. Let's shout out Quiz. All right, let's get into it. So the first fight. Well, it's a bit hot in here. First fight, Idiris versus Joseph Morales. So I waited all week for this line. I was hoping Idiris would be slight favorite, massive favorite, $1.30, not really interested. Morales was in the UFC. He probably shouldn't have been cut, but that was during the time that it looked like flyweights were not even going to be in the UFC. And just these 3 guys that he's beat outside of the promotion, they're not the best, and they were kind of close. One split decision against the Journeyman. His best win is probably the guy that he submitted in round 1, the LFA champion, but he's a striker. So, yeah, I mean, Idiris just seems better. He can grapple as well. His wins are better, and he's just finishing guys, whereas Morales, yes, he has some subs, but he's kind of gassy. And I also thought he won a robbery in his semifinals fight. So, Idiris for me, but no interest in the play. The under 2.5 rounds is plus money. I guess Alibi has a lot of knockouts. And, Morales has been knocked out by Figueiredo, which can't fault him for that. Figueiredo. But he just looks gassy. He looks like he gets dropped. I feel like he might be able to be broken here. But maybe you can play the under plus money just in case Morales gets a sub. But I don't know. I don't really see it. Let's move on. Karine, Silva, Dione, Barbosa. Not really interested in this one either. There's 15 fights on this card at one point. So I didn't spend too much time on fights that I wasn't too interested in. So basically, I watched the original fight many times. It was basically Barbosa, top timing her for longer. Karine playing guard. She was a lot chubbier, a lot worse of a fighter back then. It was a while back. And, kind of gassed as well. Since then, I think Karine is the better fighter. I think Karine should be favored. I think she also beat Viviana Araujo. I didn't really understand those scorecards. And, yeah, they're both gassy. But I'm not really interested at minus 200 on Karine because, Dione Barbosa has a really good round 1 usually. She drops skills. Her striking's improved. And I thought maybe I'll live bet Silva. But the issue is Karine also has her best round in round 1. So if she drops Barbosa, the Witch, as the nickname is, that could be it. That could be a clear 30-27, maybe even a finish. Because at that point, Barbosa might gas out. She's losing her best round early. And, she's also on short notice. And she was 30-27 by Miranda Maverick, which is a red flag to me. So it's Karine Silva or pass, honestly. I'd rather play the chalk, but I don't have a gun to my head, so I don't have to force that. Alrighty. Nursulton Ruziboev versus Bryan battle. Honestly, we're starting this card with a lot of passes, a lot of volatile fights, in my opinion. And, yeah, what is there to say? I moved on quick from this one too. Nursulton Ruziboev, he has a lot of volatility about him. And, I thought he almost lost to Dustin Stolfitz, and he should have lost to Dustin Stolfitz. Dustin Stolfitz basically lost that fight himself. Going for stupid guillotines or, when he just had Nursultan where he wanted him, Mechanico fight means nothing. Joaquin Buckley doesn't mean anything. He said he feels better at middleweight, so you can't take too much from that. But on the other side, Bryan battle at minus money, when he's moving up now at middleweight, they're forcing him to move up, and he gets hurt a lot, he gets dropped a lot, doesn't have any striking defense. His wrestling is really bad, although I still think it's good enough to take down Ruziboev. Yeah, it's a weird fight. You play Bryan battle, he might look square early, he might get dropped, he might even get finished, who knows. You play Ruziboev, he might start well, and then, Bryan battle could hurt him. Bryan battle could drop him. Bryan battle, he was on the up and up in the welterweight. So, if anything, I might just watch how this fight plays out. Live bet Bryan battle as he comes into it. Maybe he gets dropped. Maybe the price gets better. I think he has better cardio than Ruziboev. Durability, I'm not too sure. Ruziboev hasn't really been finished much. He was hurt by Buckley, but he still survived. So he showed some heart there. It's a weird fight. I thought about the under. I thought about the over. It's lined at Pick'em, which kind of makes it feel accurate. So, again, I moved on quick from this one. I know both guys well, and if I'm not getting a read from a couple of fights, then it's like I know I need to invest a lot more time, so I just move on. I'll circle back to it. What do we got for the comments? Has anyone said anything smart? Took a sprinkle on the under, but nothing. Yeah, look, the under is probably correlated with Karine Silva. So Karine KO 10-1. Could see it. She has power. Over 1.5. Both look durable, maybe a little bit of fragile, but I don't know if Battle's a bit fragile, although he can be. I think he just walks in there with no defense. It's Irish Spring on a different account. Anyways, agree. Especially with his fight, 85. Cage pushing from Battle. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Jono, Battle loves to block punches with his face. He sure does. Looks very mid if he isn't pressing. He sure does. Even Even Kevin Jousset was just bouncing his head all around the octagon, and he couldn't take him down, and he kept clinching up with him, and it was like, why would you clinch up with a judoka? And then Jousset just kept tossing him. So Battle is just an ape. He's an ape that will keep coming forward, but if he doesn't get knocked out, I feel like that kind of style will work to break Ruziboev. That's the issue. I think the over plays at a good clip. I mean, I'm not really interested, man. It's extremely volatile. Alrighty. Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose. Honestly, this was a dog or pass. That they're both washed. And now some money coming in on Drakkar Klose, so the public agrees. It's just tough to back Edson, but he still has it in him. You know, he can beat Yusuf. He can just dead anyone. But if he doesn't dead you, he's chinny and he's a really bad minute winner. He's always on the back foot, and Drakkar Klose is always on the front foot. So Drakkar Klose couldn't really get any grappling off against Joaquim Silva, but he won rounds 1 and 2 with cage push, which we've seen many, many times Barbosa get cage push. But I just get this gut feeling that Drakkar Klose loves getting knocked out amazingly. You know, I think this could be the fight where Klose ends up on the highlight reel already. Even though he was, there with Joel Alvarez, he was almost there with Joaquim Silva, got dropped. He made a highlight reel of Joe Solecki. So yeah, whenever Drakkar Klose gets knocked out, it's highlight reel worthy. So Beneil Dariush as well. The over is chalky. The under is like, I played the under against Joaquim Silva, and Klose still showed some good durability there, good recovery. So I don't know, man. I don't want to rely on a spinning wheel kick or a flying for my under to cash. You know what I mean? As I said, it's a good card, and I'm sure these fights will be great to watch. But these first 4 fights, I have no interest. They just can't get good reads, and the only one that I might play is Karine Silva, because that one's kind of easy to read, and there might actually be good value on her even as a chalky favorite. Alrighty, so Alexander Hernandez versus Chase Hooper. Someone asked me before I went live to convince him to play Alexander Hernandez, and look, there might be some value here. Chase Hooper, he can lose position. He's not the most physical guy. Nothing out of the ordinary here, but he is good at getting to the back. That's why I can't play Hernandez. Hernandez at lightweight, I think he's much better. And yeah, I mean, he's still a good fighter. He can win fights. Ultimately, I think this is going to look a bit like Damon Jackson. And he really should have knocked out Damon Jackson in the first round. Some people are saying, Hernandez is live for round 1 KO. I don't agree. I think Chase is extremely durable. Even against Steve Garcia, he never went out. He was dropped how many times, right, at featherweight, which he said himself, he was killing himself. The cut was way too big, and he never went out. He ate some bombs from Steve Garcia. So when's the last time Alexander Hernandez knocked someone out? He should have knocked out a washed and chinny Damon Jackson, and he just dropped him in round 3. He really didn't commit on anything till round 3. So yeah, and the under is what, minus money. So it's kind of disgusting. It's like, I just feel like it's going to be Chase Hooper maybe rounds 2 and 3 when Alexander Hernandez slows down. He's only been submitted once in his life, and that was by Moicano, and that was a club and sub. And I do think Moicano is actually a better jiu-jitsu fighter than Hooper. I mean, he literally beat Hooper on the regionals, and he has a better rear naked choke. That's a fact. So, but I can't play Hernandez because Hooper's going to bring the war. He's not going to be patient. He's going to bring it. He's going to initiate scrambles. He might end up on bottom. He might eat some ground and pound shots, but he's going to look for heel hooks. He's very good at getting to the back. He got to Jim Miller's back like 3-4 times. He ended up in calf slicer positions against Jim Miller. So, I don't know. I just don't trust Alexander Hernandez. So, maybe Alibi Chase Hooper. Maybe, just play 2-3. That might be tilting if Hooper gets him out of there in round 1. So, let me look at what just Hooper is in general by finish. $2.70 for a submission. It's pretty disgusting. KO, $7. Could happen. The other 2.5 rounds is pick'em. Maybe. But that's where I'm at. I think this probably extends long, and then just finishes later. But it just depends. It depends how aggressive Chase Hooper is. The under odds in the Barbosa close looks so wrong to me. Going to force me to bet it. $2.40 to $2.40. Yeah, I mean, it probably correlates with Barbosa, right? Like, Klose is just going to grind on him. Like, well, he might crack him, but he's just going to grind on him, get on top, and kind of like the Lerone Murphy fight, honestly. My boy Jono says, as much as I hate Hooper as a big favorite, he probably pushes a pace Hernandez is going to hate. I mean, that's the thing. He's going to put himself in the harm's way, and he might get dropped, but he can do it for 15, whereas Hernandez, I don't know. It feels like I don't want to force it. Alrighty, we're coming to my first bet. And I locked this in a while back. Jessica Andrade, Lupita, Godinez. And honestly, this was an easy bet. I taped a couple of fights, and I'm like, yeah, I'm locking this in. And this was $3 something. It went down to like $2 and $2.70. This is when I locked it in. I put over a unit, $750 to win like 1,000 something. Honestly, I regret not going 2 units. Right, I just had this feeling. There was a lot of line movement, and I just had this feeling when people tape this fight, there's going to be a lot more line movement, and an ARB opportunity will be easy. Right? They don't come often. A lot of CLV doesn't come often these days, especially on pay-per-views, which means the line was completely wrong. And yeah, basically, there's many reasons why I played it. Lupita Godinez, as a massive favorite, never trustworthy. Not even a massive favorite, just never trustworthy in general. I faded her with Mackenzie Dern. It was a pick'em fight. I almost put 2 units on it. Basically outstruck by Mackenzie Dern, red flag. Tabitha Ricci, I played her there, a chalk as well, and I was sweating. She really should have 30-27 her, but she kept getting dropped and doing stupid stuff and almost losing the round of one mistake and almost losing the fight. The Pilastri fight, she's winning 1 and 2, but she should be, because Pilastri has really bad takedown defense and really bad get-ups. And then in round 3, she almost gets knocked out. And show that her chin is good, you can say elite. But if she's hitting the shots from Jessica Andrade, I have no doubt in my mind she's getting knocked out. I have no doubt in my mind. So yeah, she's just, I know Lupi very well. She doesn't have many good wins. Her best win, I don't even know what her best win is. It's Tabitha Ricci via split. That's her best win. And, whenever she gets even a marginal step up, against Angela Hill, it's not, Verna Jandarova, Mackenzie, then she can't beat him. So she's not a top 5. She might not even be a top 10. And she's fighting Andrade, who some people are saying she's washed, but she's coming down back to straw weight again. So she's going to try harder. She has to try harder, otherwise she won't make weight. She's fighting a grappler again, sure, but she's not way smaller like she was in the Juzevicius fight. And Lupita also doesn't have any sub upside. She has that armbar in round 1 that she might go for, but it's a little bit scary. I could just feel, Lupi hitting it on someone like Andrade, but man, most likely she won't. And then Jessica Andrade will work her way up, and then they'll be striking again, and she'll pressure. Jessica will get hit. It'll be a little bit scary because Lupi actually has power, but she still has good durability. She'll come forward and she'll put it on Lupi, and Lupi might be winning, but she's going to hate that pressure. She's going to slow down. So it was a no-brainer. I just don't know how Lupi's meant to cover this price unless she, it's just like taking her down, rinse and repeating for 15 minutes and controlling her, which she never does. She literally never does. Right. Jessica will crack her. She'll throw leg kicks. And yeah, that's it. That's the simple breakdown of it. It was an easy bet. I didn't go in depth. Because I didn't need to. I locked it in. And, I got some CLV now. And I'm going to leave it till after the weigh-ins. Fingers crossed they both make weight. The fight doesn't get cancelled. And then I'll see exactly where I cap this fight. And then I'll see, will I hedge out? Will I only want like a unit, maybe reduce? We'll see. But I get this feeling like I'm going to leave my 750, more than a unit on it. And it feels like a good bet. Just 4 fights ago, Andrade knocked out Mackenzie Dern. No one else has done that. Stuffed all her takedowns, knocked her out. So Mackenzie Dern is a level above Lupi. So yeah, much different fight. And she was very, very competitive with Natalia Silva. She put up the best fight against Natalia Silva. That that answered questions about Silva as well, that she has a great chin. Alrighty, so that's my first bet. Let's move on. Jono, Hooper going to get those dominant positions and catch Hernandez. He'll definitely get his back at some point, like the Leech did, but Hernandez has good submission defense. That's my issue. So Andrade just needs to throw some volume, and that opening line looks way wide. I mean, I could even advocate for plus 130 on Jessica Andrade. Like, why is Lupita the favorite? Like, this should be a pick'em fight, or maybe Andrade should be a favorite, right? As I said, I don't know the exact capping because I didn't go in depth, but we'll get there tomorrow. Alrighty, Gerald Meerschaert versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. What an interesting, volatile fight. This is probably the most binary fight in UFC history, in my opinion. Basically, they're matching up a submission guy that submits almost every single person in round 2 and 3 after getting dropped and knocked out in round 1 by like 90% of his losses. And they're matching up with a guy that 90% of his UFC losses are round 1 KOs. And if he doesn't get it, he gets submitted in rounds 2 and 3, or 1 sometimes. So it's just like they've matched these guys up to perfectly to win and perfectly to lose to each other. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. So I thought I was going to, well, Jono, this got to be the under you were looking for. Well, I was. So I was preparing for this week in advance, and I'm like, if this is under is minus 200 or something, hopefully it's a little bit better, I'll play it. But when you get into the tape, all right, Gerald Meerschaert is not really a under 1.5 type submission guy. That's what's annoying here. All right, and I did play it. I should say I played the under 1.5 rounds to win half a unit at Pick'em. So a little bit over half a unit to win a half. And that's because I'll leave some bankroll for other alternatives. But basically, why I don't like it as much, it's basically Michal's money line inside the distance, right? Michal is very live to run through Gerald Meerschaert in round 1, maybe even early round 2. Like, he won't be the first to do it. Probably won't be the last. I mean, Joe Pfeiffer, Chimaev, Heinisch, Jack Manson via sub. Like, many have done it, right? So it won't be a shock if Michal does it. Many that hit less hard than Michal have done it, right? Even Rene the Reader dropped GM3 badly end of round 1. So that's basically what it is. But if he doesn't, as I said, Gerald Meerschaert, the last time Gerald Meerschaert submitted someone in under 1.5 rounds, you have to go back to Mahmoud Muradov, 2021. All right, so Muradov, it was basically one back take and Muradov flaked. And that was a bit of a weird look. He looked very gassed. Before that, it was, Bartosz Fabinski. Fabinski just took him down and instantly got guillotined. Like, that's not going to happen here. So that was my best night ever in terms of betting. It was that was paying like $6 GM3 round 1 sub. That's when UFC was much easier to bet. So basically, he might take you down, he might get dropped, but he doesn't always get an insta sub, right? Even against Bryan Barbosa, who's washed, and right before that, 2 fights in a row, he got ran through in round 1 or round 1 2 subs by RDA and by Gunnar Nelson. And Gerald GM3 had 2-3 easy takedowns, took his back, and Bryan Barbosa worked up. Right, so that's what I feel will happen. I think Michal, he's not the biggest fish off the ground, right? He got taken down by Brundage, who I think is a better wrestler. He got taken down by Kaya Bohaya at the end of round 1, but he worked his way up, and he stuffed like 3-4 takedowns before that. So he's been taken down. He works his way up. He's now at Fighting Nerds. So if anything, his jiu-jitsu and his takedown defense will improve. So I hope this is a Michal round 1 knockout, right? So he cashes the under. If he doesn't cash the under, if that doesn't cash, then it could be a very frustrating late round 2 submission for GM3. Because if you have a look, Bryan Barbosa submitted him at the end of round 2, almost made it to round 3. Edmund Shabazian instantly submitted him as soon as he got on top, but it was end of round 2. Shabazian hurt him early in round 2. He really should have got him out of there under 1.5 rounds. Bruno Silva took him 3 rounds against a washed Bruno Silva. Stolfus was beating him. Darren Wynn took him 3 rounds to beat Darren Wynn. Took him 3 rounds to submit Trevin Giles. So that's the issue, man. That's the issue. Like, GM3 takes a bit to get going. So the under 2.5 rounds seems a bit safer, but it's obviously it correlates. Oh, it's disgusting. Wow, it was $1.40 on Bet365. Now it's even worse. Let me see what rounds 1 and 2 is. Otherwise, you can just play a bit bigger on the round 1 and 2, or a bit bigger on the 1.5, hoping for a knockout by Michal and hoping that he will, get submitted under. And if not, just hedge it with some round 2, round 3 GM3. If you like taking risks. I mean, round 1 could happen, but let me have a look. Fight doesn't start round 3. A little bit worse than -200. Look, I'd rather play that. I'd rather play that, honestly. But I have a half a unit on that. All right, let's go. Susurkaev versus Eric Nolan. Susurkaev, the hype on this guy is insane. He was just on Contender Series. I actually had the over in his Tala fight. And, yeah, that was serious. It looked like he was cruising over, one glancing teep to the side of the body where the liver is nowhere near. And the guy just screams in agony. Eric Nolan, I only just taped him once when I watched this fight back in 2021 against Ty Miller, who also won a Contender Series. Other than that, I looked at his last 3 fights, and yeah, he's got some power, punching power. 3 knockouts back to back to back. Seems to do some grappling as well. I mean, he's 27 in his prime. I would say this is Susurkaev's best win, hands down. Like, Tala is a bum, and then these 2 guys that he beat in Fury and Sobonsky, they're bums, and just a bit of a padded record. But he's good. The kid's very 24 years of age. I need to go deeper. This feels like a CFFC main event. Both these guys fought in CFFC, so I don't know. He's chalky, extremely chalky, and I don't think we have the under, but that's where we're at. All right, we're on the main card. Before I get to it, let me look at the comments. David L. Michal, round 1 KO, GM3, 2-3 sub. I mean, that is the obvious square way to play it. Right? Or you go bigger on the under 1.5 rounds because it covers you a little bit with GM3. But I should say Michal does get submitted quite easily. Like he's the only submission win for Kai Asakura in the UFC, but he still went over 1.5 rounds. So he's basically, when he gasses out, it's just he falls into submission. So you never know. Alrighty, Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. So this one, honestly, taping it, I honestly think Tim has some value. Right? Remember taping Kai? Like he's lost to a bunch of grapples before, not just to Pantoja, right? He lost to Hiramasa. He got kind of cracked there. And he's been finished a bunch. He got finished by Cup, finished by Hiroguchi. So he kind of has chin stuff. He got hurt by Pantoja as well. So I don't know if Tim Elliott can come forward and just crack and swing. Maybe he can, put a bit of pressure on Asakura, drop him, and put him in some bad positions like he did to Sumadeji. He absolutely ran through Sumadeji, dropped him with an overhand, and then he submitted him instantly. He dropped Tagia Olumbeko as well. So, Tim needs to fight like Pantoja did. But he's very old. He's coming off a blown knee. And Kai Asakura, honestly, did look good against Pantoja. He landed 2 flying knees that maybe if they were a little bit closer to the face by an inch, could have knocked him out. And, he knocked out Juan Archuleta with the same knee, and he knocked out Yuki Motoya, who's very durable with knee to the body. So I like the under here, but I'm just thinking it might just correlate with Kai Asakura by KO. So that's where I'm at. I haven't locked anything in. I'm just waiting. I'm just doing a bit more tape, seeing how Tim Elliott looks on the scale. He's got a massive layoff. He's never been knocked out. That's the narrative this week. Never been knocked out, But, I mean, it's going to happen. He's almost been knocked out by many people. By Askarov, and he's been hurt many times. Kai KO is really disgusting. Plus 160. Plus 160, but honestly, I think it could happen at any point. Even if Elliott gasses out in round 3, like usually, he usually gets submitted when he gasses out. But Kai has round 3 KOs. Alrighty. Litz, I'm on the Kai KO, I have to. If he covers, it hits. Yeah, it makes sense. Just be frustrating. Alrighty, Jared Cannonier versus Michael Page. A lot of people are on the Page chalk. I understand it. You know, I've been trying to fade Jared for a while. Been trying to fade his chin. This could be the guy to finally knock him out. Jared's fought a lot of these guys with a similar style. All right, Kai Bahia, Imavov, even go back to Robert Whittaker back in the day. Just dudes that were sticking and moving and much faster than him. He got hurt by Robert Whittaker, got hurt by Imavov, finished, got hurt by Kai Bahia, didn't get finished. He's very tough. He's extremely tough, but he gets hurt a lot. So basically, the reason I haven't locked this one in, I'm still doing a little bit of tape. I want to watch that Whittaker fight. I did watch the Bahia fight, and rounds 2 and 3 were very close. Cannonier was cracking Bahia, but Bahia has a very good chin. And obviously, Cannonier was never going to grapple in that. But, you know, he does go for grappling sometimes, and he's a lot more physical and bigger than Page. He's got to understand that if he goes for grappling against Page, that's his best path. So, yeah, I mean, they're both old, 41 versus 38. And Page is just, it's a bit slim margins to me. Like, he's a great underdog because no one can touch him. He's way faster. No one can get a beat on him. But as a minus 200 guy, like, he better be knocking out Jared Cannonier. He better be knocking out. And he almost knocked out Kevin Holland. He was pinging Holland all over the place with spinning elbows, knees, who's quite durable. You know, Ian Gary was petrified, and he's very fast. Shara couldn't touch him. I'll bet him there. Yeah, just need to do a little bit more tape, and then maybe I'll lay the chalk myself. But, you know, Jared does go for takedowns. That's a fact. I wouldn't actually mind a little bit of KO poke as well. Again, people are on it, but it just makes too much sense. It makes too much sense. As long as Page throws his hands, he needs to throw. He needs to not be patient. Jared, that's right. Jared grappled insanely against Nasruddin Imavov. He just pushed him. He held him against the cage for like 10 minutes of that fight. I was on Imavov, and I was very annoyed. I was like, man, just separate. And people lie betting Jared, thinking Imavov was going to get out, but actually, Jared gassed out from grappling so hard. So he might do the same here. He might aggressively grapple Page, and that might kill the under. We'll see. Could be a good lie bet. Jono, yep, saying the obvious. I think we all agree with you there. Alrighty. Geoff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Interesting fight. Interesting. Carlos Prates coming off a bit of a fraud check by Ian Gary, and now he's, you know, decent sized favorite to Geoff Neal again. Now, both these guys fought Ian Gary. I've played both of them at dog odds, trying to fade Gary. Geoff Neal, you know, much bigger underdog. Honestly, both of these guys could have easily beat Gary, but, you know, both times Gary took my money. And, yeah, Geoff Neal did much better. He went to a split decision. I think if he threw his hands a little bit more in either of the rounds, he could have won that by unanimous. Whereas Carlos Prates just stared at him for 4 rounds, 20 minutes. And, honestly, I left after the 3rd round because I was so pissed off that Prates wasn't doing anything. Like, I expected that. I expected a slow round 1 because that's how he fights. But it's just like round 2, round 3, and I'm like, man, I can't watch this anymore. Like, it's such a winnable fight. And I think if I had to watch that round 5, the near finish, I would have lost my shit even more. So why I think that was the case, I think a little bit of the moment got to Carlos Prates in the main event, and obviously the speed, and he really didn't want to lose. He didn't want to make a false move, and you can see that in his ground and pound in round 5. He was overthinking it instead of just throwing. And also because he's more of a flat-footed Muay Thai guy, it's a lot harder to get a read on the faster stick and move striker like Gary. Whereas Geoff Neal is a really solid boxer, and he has really good speed, and he crashes the distance, and it was making Ian Gary back up a lot. And Ian Gary was actually grappling in that. He was cage pushing Neal. So, you know, this is a fight that I'm considering Neal, honestly, just because, again, he's faster, he's got power. I think he's got better durability. A lot of people are saying Prates is faster. I don't really understand that. I don't know how you can watch a lot of his fights. He's not fast. He has the touch of death, and he doesn't load up. He fights long. But I think Neal, if Neal is aggressive, he can find Prates early. You know, everyone has done it. It's just what happens when Prates gets his reads. He should be able to get his reads much easier than the Gary fight. But man, Neil is quite durable, and I'm not going to say he hits harder than Prates, but he's close in terms of power. Neil was the first one to get Luka out of there, and he was cracking Shavkat Rakhmonov as well, who has an iron chin. So, yeah, at the moment, I don't have a strong read on this one. It's going to be a competitive striking fight, but I've only taped both the Gary fights for each. A lot of fights on this card. The under is minus money. Well, straight away, the over interests me. Two durable guys. Yeah, but it's going to be, it's going to be a sweaty bet. Carlos Prates, I mean, all these guys that he's knocked out, Trevin Giles, Radke, Jing Liang Li, Neil Magny, you can argue that they're not very durable, right? Or their durability is waning. And especially, even the Gary Machado, and he couldn't get him out of there. So, yeah, that over. If I had to force something, it's probably the over. All right. Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. What an interesting fight. A lot of money coming on Pico. And honestly, I feel like fading him. I feel like fading the public. I get why the money's coming in on him, right? He's got the cardio, he's got the power, he's got the takedowns. Lerone Murphy's been taken down 4 or 5 times in like 3-4 fights. Dan Ige took him down. Josh Emmett took him down 4 times. Gabriel Santos took him down many times, almost beat him. Makwan took him down like 4 times in round 1. And he gets hurt as well. So Pico has all that stuff. But end of the day, with all those takedowns, with all those times that he was dropped and hurt, Lerone Murphy still wins, right? He has a way better chin than Pico. Pico is all systems go. He's been fraud checked a bunch of times already. And sure, he can improve. He's only 28 years of age. But taping this fight, you can't even tape it and think, you can't even make a good read, because Pico hasn't fought anyone on the level of Murphy. He just hasn't. That's a fact. Like Henry Corrales, a washed Henry Corrales. First time he got knocked out by him. Pedro Cavallo, awful. James Gonzalez, regional. He's just fighting LFA and Bellator regional guys. Journeyman. There's just no one. There's no one on the level of Lerone Murphy on there. And a lot of people hate Lerone Murphy because he's boring, but I actually like his style. I like the way that his main attributes are toughness and IQ. Right? Every fight is different. Sometimes he grapples and pressures. Other times he completely backs up, like in the Emmett fight, and he drags Emmett into elbow counters. He can switch from both stances. He throws calf kicks. He's got good grappling, offensively. He can be taken down, but his jiu-jitsu is solid. No one's ever submitted him. No one's ever been close. He almost got knocked out by a Barboza upkick. It was just a brutal upkick, and he just recovered and he just rinsed Barboza. Like, he's got insane toughness and cardio. So I don't know. I do feel Pico will have advantages early, like a lot of people do against Murphy, but if he gets countered with one elbow or one knee or falls for one trap that Lerone Murphy is setting for him, like, that could be it. He has a bad chin and people have just forgotten about it because none of these bums that he's fought have been able to punish him. So the only reason I haven't locked it in is just because the takedowns will come very easy. But again, he's another guy that doesn't have good jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have good jiu-jitsu. He will take Lerone Murphy down. Lerone Murphy will get up. And if Aaron Pico had worse cardio, that'll be a much easier bet. But he's just like taking these guys down over and over again. He's striking, taking them down again. So the kid has great cardio too, so that's an issue. And Lerone Murphy probably won't push the pace. So but it's a dog pass for me. I'm just thinking, do I lie bet it instead? We'll see. But people love fading Lerone Murphy. All right, we're going to go to the main event, but let's look at the comments. Chronic Combat, yes, made it live. Thank you, mate. Thanks for joining. Glimbar, what's the alternative total in the Prates fight? The over 1.5, I think. Yeah, I don't really like it because it's going to be chalky, and they both have power. So, but let me just look for your sake. It's probably going to be minus 200. Yeah, $1.55, 5 cents better than minus 200. Not a fan. I doubt Prates is durable. I don't know. Neil for sure going to test it. Yeah, I mean, Prates was hurt by Gary, whereas Neil never was. So, yeah, Neil has a few advantages, man. And Prates has never actually beat someone on the level of Neil. Like, he deserves to be in a ranking, but Magny, washed, Jing Liang Li, like, these guys are not on. This would be a good test for Prates. We'll see how easy he does it. David, clearly dog or pass, played the over 2.5. Yeah, what's the 2.5 there? It's a scary bet with, how aggressive Pico is and how chinny he is at the same time. Wow, over 2.5 is disgusting. Hopefully you had a better line than that. $1.42. Gambling, MMA, Twitter, all over Murphy. I don't know about that, man. Every single person I know is on Pico. Like, I know some touts that are on Pico. Obviously, the line is moving. Everyone's surprised by Murphy money line. Wonder what Pico's takedown number is. Yeah, some good takedown props there. This is a pay-per-view, so it's going to have takedown opportunities on every single fight. So I might have to swing that, make some good money on that. All I care about is profit on this card. Nothing else. All right, and Drickus Duplessis comes at Chimaev. Speaking of takedown props, I mean, I know people on DDP, but honestly, I don't see this as anything other than a live betting fight. Like, Khamzat's going to get takedowns early. Everyone knows it. Drickus even admitted it himself. Like, he's a good offensive wrestler. He's insanely physical, but he's not stopping the takedown of Khamzat. If Khamzat wants it, right? He was taken down, but he was getting, like, ragdolled by Derek Brunson. That was only 2 years ago. Like, what is he now, 33, 31? Yeah, he can improve, but he was just a bad look. He was on bottom in side control for a long time in round one. Robert Whittaker took him down easy. Like, yeah, he will get up, but he might not get up if he gets his back taken. Whittaker kept trying to get up, but whenever he did, the neck was threatened. So, yeah, it's just it's an interesting fight. We don't know, how Khamzat's going to look. Rounds 3, 4, 5. Obviously, Kamaru Usman he broke his hand, and he was very cautious. He still had enough in him to win round 3. And taking Kamaru Usman down is a lot harder than DDP, in my opinion. So it's interesting, very interesting fight with a lot of questions. And I think Khamzat could be the champion, man. But I don't know. On tape, I know Trick is this guy that just keeps on winning. I've been betting him every step of the way. I've been betting him pick him line against Giles and slight favorite against Perez. Just all these easy bets. I think it was pick him against Brad Tavares, slight favorite. Just easy bets. And now everyone on Twitter is like, DDP's the side. But they've been trying to fade him, like with Adesanya and Sean Strickland and, Whittaker every step of the way. So, yeah, I think play some Khamzat round 1 takedown. That's almost a lock. And just go from there. I don't know what to expect from this fight. I don't know if it's going to be finished late or early. I will say DDP will push the pace on Khamzat, unlike Usman. Usman just threw no hands. So that's where we're at. Good fight, though. I'm super excited for this fight. 2 guys in their prime, 2 guys with aura. And that's it. All right, so let me go through this, and then I'll give you your boxing bet. So Idiris, I think, wins. Karine Silva, pass. Ruziboev battle, annoying fight. Close or pass, under maybe. Hooper, I think Hooper's a good live bet, but I think he gets a finish 2-3. I got $750 on Andrade at $2.70. I could honestly make the argument that you should play her at $2.30. This could be a pick'em fight, or Andrade should be your favorite. I have to win half a unit in Oleksiejczuk GM3 under 1.5 rounds. That's just because I think if GM3 is getting it, he's probably going to sub him late 2 or round 3. But that's not a fact. It could be earlier, but I'm just playing it safe. I'll add more action today or tomorrow. Susurkaev, he probably kills Nolan, but everything's going to be chalky as. Asakura, I think, KOs Elliott. Page, we'll see if I'll get to the page. Jeff Neil Prates, honestly, I'm favoring Neil and the over. We'll see. Pico, Murphy, it's a dog or pass for me, but I just think Pico's going to start out hot, and the takedowns are going to come easy, so we'll see. And Chimaev, I think Chimaev wins round 1 like always, so I'm not going to run. I'm not going to force it. In terms of boxing bets, let me give you this boxing bet that I have a full unit on, and then I'll go through the comments and we'll get out of here. So it's on Sunday, and it's the main event. It's Moses Itoma, 20-year-old prospect versus Dillian White fight. This guy's meant to be the next Tyson, and I bet the under 4.5 rounds at plus money now. Some money's coming in the over, so it's I'm not overthinking it. Dillian White has been knocked out by one punch 3 times. Anthony Joshua Alexander Povetkin, Tyson Fury, right? Only one of them has gone under 4.5 rounds, which is the Povetkin fight. But Tyson Fury is not really a one-punch KO guy. He put him out cold, right, halfway through 6th round. And whatever. Anthony Joshua took him 7 rounds. We know how hard Anthony Joshua hits, but that was in 2015. The guy is like 37 years of age now. Tyson Fury fight was 3 years ago. So basically, this kid has run through everyone. So it's a don't overthink it. I thought about putting more on it, but there's a bit of noise. Dillian White came in shape. This kid Moses has 2 fights that have gone to a decision, but it was 2 years ago, so he was literally 18 years of age. So I'm just thinking, put 1 unit on it. Don't overthink it. Minimum. Maybe add more. We'll see. I'm going to do some more tape, but that's my boxing bet. 600 to win 500 and some. And then, yeah, let's go through the comments. I'll get out of here. Oh, David L., you were talking about the Prates fight for the over. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think the over's good. What do you think about MVP by KO prop? I think, yeah, that's what I'm feeling. As I said, I could see MVP being the one to do it to Cannonier. He's been hurt many, many times. This could be finally it. Should have a big speed advantage yet. Pico Murphy reminds me of Lopez versus Pat Sabatini. Every sharp was on Sabatini, and your average casual was like, it's obviously Lopez. Yep, I love fading Sabatini. Yeah, just bet Murphy. Big Brain, do you agree that DDP wins if he gets out of round 1? I mean, I don't think it's that black and white, honestly. That's why the fight is so hard to cap. Tasteful thickness. Can we see your pepperoni nipples ahead of UFC 319? We'll see. We'll see how my ACA and one fight night bets go. But they're not pepperoni at all, just to let you down. They're like 5 cents. 5-cent nipples. Good luck, Aussie fight fan. If Khamzat wins this fight, what does that change or what does that prove? Is it going to be a beginning of the new era? Yeah, probably. I mean, Khamzat has like the best wrestling that we've ever seen in UFC, in my opinion. Quoth, over 2.5 in DDP Khamzat, maybe not. I think DDP might be eating shit for like 10 minutes in this fight. So there's that. Alrighty, that's it. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and peace out.